very warm welcome to all of you. Great. Thank you so much for joining this session. This is a follow-up session to our previous session, which was on 3 secrets to boost immunity. And it was so successful, and there were so many of us wanting follow-up sessions and more detailed sessions, how to stay healthy and happy and positive during these COVID-19 times. So today's session, we are going to focus more on what is the right diet to follow during this stressful time, and which will help us boost our immunity and be more healthy and energetic. So before we start the session, I would just like to inform that I'm putting everybody on mute so that the Zoom session is smooth and it is seamless and there is no echo. We will be taking up questions towards the end of the session. So you can put your questions in the chat. So around 15 to 20 minutes towards the end, we will be taking questions from all of you. And before that, we will be having a discussion. We have our experts with us today. I would like to introduce them, Dr. Nkeiru.
I hope you've been keeping safe. Oh. I thought I was, so can I go on? Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here again today. I hope you've been keeping safe and well and eating healthy.
Great, Dr. Nkeiru. And we have Mr. Akshay, Jain. I would like to introduce both of you before we start the session because we have a lot of new people who have joined in today.
Hi, everybody. Nice to be with you all. And it's a pleasure to share some insights about the 3 secrets. So we had a good session last time. So I hope we all will have a good conversation today.
Great. Thank you, Akshay. Thank you, Dr. Nkeiru. So a little bit of a brief introduction about them. So Dr. Nkeiru is a seasoned and a committed healthcare professional of high integrity with extensive experience leading public sector child and maternal health programs. After retiring from the civil service, Dr. Nkeiru has been involved in health management, consulting, with focus on health policy, program development, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. Currently, Dr. Nkeiru is passionately exploring functional medicine approach to address the underlying causes of diseases and promote optimal wellness. She believes that we all have the potential to optimize wellness by committing to positive lifestyle modification. Dr. Nkeiru, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
Great. Now, I would like to introduce our expert on mind, Mr. Akshay Jain. He is an entrepreneur and a life skills coach. He's an MD of an international IT company. It's called the Nkeiru Nigeria Limited. He also leads the Art of Living projects for Africa, which is his true passion. Akshay has been in Nigeria since 2011, and he has been leading most of the Art of Living initiatives in Nigeria. He has been teaching the Art of Living yoga and meditation programs for the past 17 years and has had the opportunity to bring about positive impact in people's lives across Europe, Middle East, and Africa. In Nigeria, Akshay has facilitated many social impact projects ranging from stress relief workshops for prisoners and to leadership training programs in Delta State, reaching out to more than thousands of youth. Thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us for this beautiful evening and this amazing session. I'm really looking forward to an insightful conversation with both of you.
Thank you, Priyanka. Nice to be here.
So let us start. Dr. Nkeiru, I would invite you to take the first question.
Franca, please, can you help me read out the first question?
There have been so many questions and I have filtered out the most prominent ones. The first question, which is on everybody's mind, is what should be the right diet as a daily diet during these COVID-19 times to have more energy and to boost immunity? So could you share some tips with us?
Thank you. I'm hoping that in the course of this, I'll be able to share what the optimal diet can be for individuals. However, for all of us, because of our genetics, already existing health concerns, and our environment, there may not be one perfect diet. So I'll broadly say what we can all eat in order to boost our immune system, support the immune system. Basically, is to help the immune system so that it will function optimally and help us prevent diseases or help us reduce the complications. So what should we eat on a typical day? It should be nutrient dense, and it should have all the major components of food. They're in two broad groups. So you have the macronutrients, and we're looking at the protein, the carbohydrates, and the fats. Then we have the micronutrients, where we're looking at vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are those things in plants that give them colors. So for instance, tomato is red and carrot is orange. And then you have other fruits like pawpaw. So those we need to incorporate all the food components into our basic meal. So for you to eat, for instance, now we tend to eat 3 times a day. But the thing is this, for optimal health, we need to limit, we don't have to eat 24 hours. We need to limit the time we eat. So for instance, some people propose that we eat from sunset to sundown. And sometimes we just take a 12-hour, 8-hour, 6-hour eating window. But the major thing is to eat when the sun is up and eat your heaviest meal in the morning. Throughout the day, eat smaller portions. So on a typical day, for me, for instance, when I wake up first thing in the morning, I'm going to have 16 ounces of fluid, and of water, and it's warm water. It could have, I alter, or having apple cider vinegar, or even having ginger. I have a blend that is ginger, turmeric, and garlic, and some black pepper, and a spoon of coconut oil. I mix it up, and I just take a spoonful of that in my hot water, and I drink that. That's how I start my morning. Then I can have breakfast. Breakfast usually for me would be a meal. It could be a smoothie, but it could also be like a porridge made from unripe plantain with green vegetable and some oba. Oba is the castor oil seed it's cut up into bits, and it gives you a rich blend of vegetables, basically, because that's all. Everything in that meal is plant-based. And of course, for everything I cook, I always cook with onions, ginger, turmeric, and garlic. It doesn't matter what I'm cooking, including when I'm making a soup. So later on, for the afternoon, I'll probably have soup, eba. That's our typical, that's our everyday one. And I try to make sure I have a salad. So the salad will probably be in the evening. I could just have a salad for my dinner. But I try to eat dinner 3 hours before bedtime. For me, I prioritize sleep. And so my bedtime is about 9 o'clock. So my dinner will be about 6. And so that gives me enough time before I go to bed, because I need the food to also properly digest. So broadly speaking, I didn't want to be very specific about giving one size fits all in terms of food. So long as we are including all the major nutrients, all the major elements, the basic ones, we have some carbohydrate, we have some protein, we have some fat, and then we have some vitamin and some minerals and some phytonutrients. So the colors of the rainbow, you just eat the rainbow. Thank you, Priyanka. I think I went too long.
So that was really amazing. We have to eat the rainbow. So this is something new that I have learned today. Thank you so much, Dr. Nkeiru. I would like to invite Akshay for the next question, please. So there have been people asking that what is the connection between mind and food? Does the kind of food that we eat impact our emotions and how we feel? Because a lot of people are feeling depressed and sluggish and not wanting to do or getting into lethargy. Is it connected to the kind of food that I eat?
Yeah, sure, Priyanka. Nice question. So let's understand this. You see, there's a definite connection between what we eat, what time we eat, and how much we eat with the mind. Have you noticed that when you have eaten too much, how do you feel after that? You feel lethargic, you don't want to move. So in your mind, you feel very dull. So depending on the quantity that you eat, there's a direct connection with the mind. Also, there are different types of food. So, for example, in the Indian system, it is said there are 3 types of food. One, which brings a lot of activity in the mind. You see, activity is not just physical. Mentally also, our mind is racing. You are sitting with me here, and constantly there is a lot of thought going on in the mind. Have you seen people, you're sitting sometimes and you're shaking your foot? So there is constant, something inside is very active. So there is a type of food which is called rajasic food, which brings a lot of activity in the mind. And then the second category of food is that which brings inertia. So that brings lack of focus, lethargy, lack of interest in the mind. So that's the second category of food, which is called tamasic food. And the last category of food is sattvic food, which means food that brings focus. It's got high energy in it. The food, it's not just the nutrients or proteins and carbohydrates. Food also contributes subtle life force energy, right? So anything which is stale and dead and extremely spicy, oily, extremely spicy, very old, stale food will be tamasic category, that which brings inertia in the mind. So that is why it is said, in olden days, there was no refrigerator. People used to bring food and eat fresh food. But today, with our modern lifestyles, we are eating a lot of, stale food. Sometimes people pack their full week of food into refrigerator. So having a lot of extremely processed food, stale food, fermented food, extra fermented food, this leads to inertia in the mind, right? So that is the tamasic food. The first category of food I said was rajasic, means which brings a lot of activity. What is this? So rich food, like, you're eating mild spices or oily food, or like, cottage cheese. So these are rich food, which brings a lot of activity in the mind. So when you're seeing that your mind is too active, you should know that perhaps it's because of the food, right? And then the sattvic food, which has high subtle energy, we call it prana, high prana food. It should be fresh food, which is easily digestible. See, different types of food take different times to die. I will perhaps request Dr. Nkeiru to throw more light on it. Like fresh salad or fruits, typically within 20 to 30 minutes, they get digested and they're out of the system, right? Same way, there are some foods which can take about 2 to 3 hours, like protein-rich lentils and gram, etc. They take about 3 hours to 4 hours to digest. But then if you eat very heavy red meat kind of a thing, it takes about 70 hours to digest throughout the body. So anything which is very extremely heavy has a high toll on our digestive system, will cause a lot of lethargy. So having a lot of fruits, fresh food, which is light in nature, is sattvic food, which brings focus in the mind. You know, your mind becomes more creative, very active and innovative. So that's where food has a definite impact on our body. And I think this is a very long subject, a detailed one. One can go on and on. But broadly, I would categorize this that have the right quantity. You will know best what is the right quantity of food. Have the right food at the right time. As Dr. Nkeiru said, do not eat food or heavy meals in the evening, and do not eat very close to your bedtime, because that is a recipe for bad health and tamasic mind. So right quantity, right timing, and right type of food is very important for mental health. Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Akshay. I think this calls for a lot of discipline, like whatever you're discussing, right kind of food at the right time, in the right quantity. I think COVID is going to teach us how to discipline ourselves. What do you think? Is it easy to follow?
No, so anything good comes does not come easy, you know. So it takes practice, it takes time, and we will talk in the next session. I think we are going to talk about how to bring discipline in the mind and culturing the mind. So I'll leave that for the next session. But till then, I think let's focus on today's agenda.
Okay, so I have my next question for Dr. Nkeiru. Dr. Nkeiru, you spoke about the rainbow. Can you suggest some quick, easy recipes for our viewers? Something that we can prepare today for dinner.
For dinner?
Yeah.
Can I do for tomorrow's lunch? The real issue about dinner for me would be a salad. And really, we can do a salad anyway, but I think that that's an easy one. If we're looking for all the colors in the rainbow, we can use lettuce, and so we have green. Yes. And then we have carrots for the carrots for orange. Right. And for yellow, we could have what comes to mind that is yellow now? Yellow pepper, you know the bell pepper, the yellow one. And then, you know the beetroot. Yeah. It gives a lovely magenta color in your salad. I just love it on my salads. And if you can lay your hands to purple cabbage, it helps bring it. Have I covered all the colors of the rainbow? There are 7 colors, almost. And so throw in some sweet potato there to give you the yellow, and if you get orange colored sweet potato, that should cover you. And that's the real meal anyway. I was looking forward to sharing a recipe that I have actually shared on the group platform, but that's like for lunch. And I can leave it since I already wrote it out and shared it on the line.
No, you can just, I don't think everybody has read the chat.
Oh, okay. So the recipe I had shared was actually on, I called it finger licking afang soup. And so for that soup, we would need water leaf, and you can substitute with spinach. And you need ground and sliced okazi and crayfish. I'm speaking to my, like this is typical Nigerian. It's not, and so palm oil, sea salt and pepper to taste, and then 1 whole pasture-raised skinned chicken, and onions. Look at the colors: onions, tomato, ginger, and garlic, turmeric, plus 1 teaspoon of ogili, and 1 okpe. So anybody on this platform that is Igbo would probably know what those 2 are. They're the condiments we use for our soup. And so once the meat is tender, you let most of the water dry. This meat is seasoned with all those spices, and you cook it until it's tender with very little water. Then you add the water leaf, cook it for 5 minutes, low heat, simmer. Because how we cook our food is also very important. And I'll discuss that a little bit more. So it's going to be simmering when you're cooking. Then okazi, you add the ground okazi, another 5 minutes. Then you add the crayfish and salt and ogili, and stir and cover your pot. Then finally, you put the palm oil and cook it for 5 minutes. I've actually detailed all this, and it will be shared on our platform for people who haven't seen it. Now, your finger-licking afang soup is ready, and it can be served with eba or pounded yam. Enjoy your meal.
Okay, super. I'm going to try it out for tomorrow afternoon lunch. And then I'll send you a picture of how it has come out. Thank you so much, Dr. Nkeiru. I love the enthusiasm with which you share. That itself is so uplifting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Akshay, I have a next question for you. Even if you're eating such healthy food, there are people who are saying that I'm still feeling sluggish. I'm not feeling that energy. I just feel like, especially during this lockdown. So what is the reason? Like I'm exercising, I'm eating great food, but then still feeling not high.
Yes. So, this is a very deep topic, and I'm seeing another question coming in here that immediately after eating, I feel sleepy and I fall asleep. So, one is definitely quantity of food will matter. Second, we have to understand two perspectives. One from the Ayurveda, the Indian system of science, says that we are made up of 5 elements. What are the 5 elements? We all know, right? It's earth, water, ether, fire, and air. So let me quickly show you this slide. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, 1 second. Okay, here you go. So if you can see my screen, right? Can you see my screen, Priyanka?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see, we are made up of these 5 elements, which is earth, water, ether, fire, and air. This is what constitutes this body, right? Now, when you go to a body composition, it contains 3 main body types, so to say. So the first body type is Vata, which is more of a mix of air and ether, right? So you will see, and there can be distortions. So one is we have this body type. Second is this body type is natural, but it also has distortions. So for example, if I am a Vata type of person, I am more air and ether dominant. If the Vata is imbalanced, I will have issues with gas in the intestines. I'll have issues with aches in the body. So a lot of aches and gaseous issues come from this type of body. The second is Kapha, which is a mix of earth and water, predominantly earth. And the type of this body is more about stability. In a natural sense, it is more stability, heaviness, and not to say lethargy, but yeah, a steadiness in the body. And then the third type of body is called Pitta, which is more fire dominant and a mix of water in it. So these are basic nature or body types that we have. And the nature of these are, like for example, Pitta, a Pitta person will have very shiny skin, right? Radiant skin. They were very intelligent, very sharp, very focused, right? A Vata person will have dry skin, will have dryness on the skin, and they are very wavery. They cannot take a decision very fast. They always want to move. A lot of movement is there, which is associated with air. Then the Kapha person, which is earth element, he's, as I said, very steady and little laid back. Now, when there is change, when there are distortions or imbalances in these elements, it causes diseases, and that reflects as what you're saying as maybe lethargy in the system. So food is not the only contributor to this condition. These conditions can manifest because of your wrong lifestyle, not sleeping enough, working too much, not exercising enough, having a sedentary lifestyle. So there are a lot of factors which lead to these conditions. So if you are feeling very lethargic, means your kapha is imbalanced. That means your earth element is out of balance, which means you will have issues with the respiratory system. Cough may come up, a lot of phlegm may come up. You may have lethargy. You may not want to get up in the morning after, in the morning time. You may not get up fresh and you want to just lie down and sleep. So that is the distortion of this earth element. And then when it is fire element distorted, you will have hypersensitivity in your stomach, ulcers, a lot of fire in the stomach, heated thing happens, acne will happen. So that causes a lot of damage into your intestine. So this is, I would say, a very important thing to understand. Let me get out of this share first. Okay. You see, so to answer this question, it has a multifold cause which is leading to this condition. So you have to perhaps fix your lifestyle, see how is your sleeping cycle, see whether you are having the right kind of exercise in your daily regime, the right kind of food at right time. All these will contribute. Also, if you have this condition, that means you have already gotten into the disease level. See, one is preemptive and maintenance activity. The second is curative, when you already have a disease. So when you already have a disease, you first have to get healthy or get to a neutral ground. And then you can follow the right lifestyle and food to maintain that. So if you're already in the disease side of things, you have to perhaps consult a doctor who can guide you in the right lifestyle and do the necessary small fixes, right? So I think have I answered the question, Priyanka?
Yes, a lot. But I would also like to know, are there some particular kind of food to totally avoid? Like you've spoken about, like, okay, this is the kind of food, but especially during these times to boost immunity, do you think there is something which we should not have, which will pull down our immunity?
See, obviously, going back to the first answer which I gave, anything which is very heavy on the system, very difficult to digest, because we are at home, not many people are able to do a lot of exercise. So you need to maintain a low diet. You may eat a little more, maybe 4 to 5 times instead of one time, but have smaller diet, have small meals, and make it lighter meals. So that will help. Perhaps remove one thing which is very important today is white sugar. White sugar is causing havoc, and that reduces your immunity for when you consume white sugar immediately for next 2-3 hours, your immunity goes down. So this is one thing which we can definitely avoid from our diet completely. You have other substitutes like honey or cane sugar or jaggery, which you could substitute with white sugar. It is a very big, evil for today to have white sugar at home.
Okay. So I'm going to remove white sugar totally from my diet. It's we're not even aware how much we are having it, maybe in biscuits or cakes or pastries or ice cream. We're not even aware.
See, this junk food, it is a very vicious circle. Our mind, it gets into some frustration, there is anxiety, and a side effect of that is feeding our stomach, right? So it is also a very psychosomatic activity. So you're not really eating because you're hungry, you're eating because your mind has some stress, right? So that is even more dangerous of this binge eating and eating junk food and continuously eating is not good at all. So you have to eat when your stomach, the fire in the stomach says, yes, I'm hungry, give me food, not because the mind or the tongue yearns for it.
Okay. Thank you, Akshay. Again, whatever you are suggesting, I think I'm really looking forward to the next session of yours on discipline, because it all boils down to having a strong mind.
Mhm.
Yes. Dr. Nkeiru, I would like to invite you for the next question, please. So, Dr. Nkeiru, can you share um, some what would you say is the right way to cook the food and to store the food? So somebody's asked the question like, how do we store the food if we are going to refrigerate it now during COVID times? We are buying as a weekly supply, right? We have to refrigerate. And how do we cook? What kind of oil to use? Can you please share some information on that? What is the right type of cooking?
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you, Akshay, for your contribution, particularly when you spoke about the sugar aspect of it. I'm digressing a little bit, but I just wanted to contribute to that conversation. Now, when we eat, blood flows to the digestive system. So it pulls from everywhere. So there's the blood going to your brain automatically is reduced. So that's why we tend to feel very sleepy when we have eaten, as soon as we finish eating a heavy meal, like Akshay said. And then digestion is very energy dependent. It takes a lot of our energy. So although I don't know who's asked the question in terms of knowing what his genes are, what his environment is, and whether he has any underlying condition, I would suggest that if he took a day and made sure he got a lot of fluid, a lot of water, a lot of warm water, and then just eat fruits and vegetables, no cooked food, just like as natural as they come. For that one day, see how you feel, whether anything changes. Just one day, see how you feel. Now, to answer my real questions about what's the best oil to cook with. For us, cooking our soup, the palm oil is what we use, and it's okay. The way it is processed is still very good for cooking, so we can eat palm oil. However, again, when we're growing older, we worry about the quantity of oil. When I was younger, we used to cook and have the oil floating on top, but I don't do that anymore. Now you would notice that we're measuring the oil we're putting into food. Now, when it comes to like making stews where you need oil, the best oils to cook with would be coconut oil or avocado oil. And then, but when it comes to, and ghee, the thing is that ghee is able to take, it's the one that has the highest melting point. So you can really cook it on a higher heat. But for coconut oil, avocado oil, they need medium heat. They don't need very high heat. But ghee is okay. You can take it to the roof. It will be fine. Now, when it comes to olive oil will it's only good for sauteing or for eating salads when it's raw. Olive oil, it's not for cooking food. That's done with the oils. There was one more thing I'm supposed to, okay, one more thing, cooking methods. Now we find that the methods that we use that actually, shall I use the word? I'm not sure whether it's the right word, damages the food or makes it poisonous to our body. You know, I can have a perfect, high quality, organically grown vegetable. And then the way I cook it destroys all the nutrients and also adds chemicals that are toxic to my body. So the best way to cook basically is to boil or steam. And then to cook at lower temperatures. That's why if you read recipes, you see all the time they're saying simmer, bring to boil and then simmer. They never say boil on high heat. There's no recipe that goes like that. So we're supposed to cook on lower heat, and then we use a lot of herbs and spices. And occasionally make sure you're eating raw, and now include also some fermented food in whatever you're eating from time to time. And every day, make sure that there's something fermented, make sure there's something raw. And then you avoid grilling and frying. Those are the ones that's the method that actually is toxic to our health. I think one more thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is processed food. Someone asked, what food should we avoid? And I would say generally, avoid all processed food. Anything that's been to a factory and is in a box, in a packet or a tin or a bottle, just avoid it. You can't go wrong, except it's natural products that have been repackaged. Thank you, Priyanka. I hope I did justice to that.
So, Doctor, I would like to add something here. I think it's my personal experience in the past experimenting with food, and you know, especially I became passionate about this because I had a very sensitive digestive system. So I have consulted with a lot of doctors, and uh, what I settled down was with, we have to listen to our body, and there are some basic rules if you can follow. Some basic rules which we have to follow is, as you said, remove processed food from the diet. Also, eat what is locally available and seasonal.
Yeah.
You know, so if this is season for yam or it's season for oranges, so having the seasonal vegetables and fruits which are local to this country. So I am from India, but when I'm in Nigeria, I tend to buy whatever is locally grown in Nigeria, not really which is imported. You know, this new thing of, oh, every food is available everywhere, imported from anywhere, stored in cold storage. All that is becoming a big nuisance for health in today's time. So I would really, recommend this. Also, when it came to, somebody was asking about coconut oil, high saturated fat, and all that. So I think we should not worry too much about these calories and fats. We should just have a right mix of all nutrients. Fat is not bad. So one thing which we follow in India, you know, this carbohydrate and protein mixed with fat is the best combination, because this carbohydrate does not, like for example, rice and some protein, and if you have good fat in it, butter or something, it really does not convert the carbohydrate into body fat. So it goes as the right nutrient into the body. So these are some old age techniques which we Indians have followed, which a lot of Nigerians have followed, right? But in the new age, we have learned some new things from the food processors, like all these biggies who want to sell their products, and they sell the lies. And they say, oh, this is fast, this is quick, and this is delicious and nutritious, which I think is very false, right? So we have to go away from that and go back to our roots that our grandmother used to follow, and imbibe that. Obviously, there is a difference between my grandmother's lifestyle and my lifestyle. My grandmother would have been physically very active during the day against what I do. So obviously, I have to tone down. I cannot eat as much as my grandparents would have consumed during the day. My movement is very limited because there's too much of desk job. We go by cars. People used to walk earlier, so the whole lifestyle has changed. So I think listen to your body and go with that. Yeah. And these especially the refined oil, if instead of that we can do some pure oils, I think that will also be a better shift that one can make, right? So pure mustard oil or coconut oil, instead of going for very refined oil. That's not a good idea.
Okay, but is it okay to have a can of Coke sometimes along with the food?
So that's mind playing, your tongue and mind playing tricks with you. And I am so sorry to say.
Coke with a lot of ice along with my food, especially when I'm having pizza or pasta.
So this is the worst notion today. You know what people do is have cold dessert after food. It's like extinguishing the fire. You see, you need heat and fire to digest, to break down your food. And immediately after having food, you have a glass of cold water, Coke, or have ice cream. It's the worst dessert one could go for. Please avoid anything cold, especially liquid before and after food is very avoidable, because it dilutes your acids. It completely dilutes your acids, and there is no digestion that's going to happen, right? So, and I don't know what I can say about Coke. Everybody knows how bad it is. Like, they say smoking is injurious to health is written in bold letters on the pack of cigarette, but still people consume that. I think the same thing is boldly written everywhere in social media, in the news channels, that the sugar and Coke is very bad. So you have a choice to make.
Okay, so no more Coke, no more white sugar. I think back to basics. I think that has been the message of the day. I would like to now call for all the questions that we have received and just take them one by one. And I have received more through email and WhatsApp. So I think, Dr. Nkeiru, there is question about oil again. Can you just guide us a little bit more? So is olive oil and sunflower oil, groundnut oil, how are these? Like, locally they are available, and how are they good? Are they good for cooking?
The oil we don't want are the processed oil that are hydrogenated oils. And I'm so sorry to say that. That's where all the oils fall into. Now, we had a traditional way of processing groundnut oil. If that's done, I guess that should be fine. But the processing is the one that is not, that makes it not good enough for us. Before now, we thought fat was the problem. It was cholesterol. Incidentally, all cells in our body, every cell in our body uses or it has some fat. Our cell membranes are made up of fat. And the body makes more cholesterol than we bring in from outside. Our body is producing cholesterol. So really, that's not what the problem is. We now know that the problem with the chronic diseases that we're having that is rampant everywhere is actually the sugar, not the fat. And so there's nothing wrong. Coconut oil is good. It's actually great for the brain. I'm not sure. I think I digressed from the question you asked. Did I?
Sunflower oil, groundnut oil, and olive oil.
Okay, I've talked about groundnut oil. That's the one we locally produce is fine. And then coconut oil is also good. And really, if you can't find coconut oil, you can actually make your own. And you can actually also make your coconut milk. The meals that I cook, mainly the legumes and some of those bean group things that you can actually cook in coconut milk. And it really tastes amazing. I personally, I love coconut oil and I love coconut milk. I think it makes a difference in whatever you're cooking with it. So that's for coconut oil. It's good and it's advisable to use it in cooking. And but I did say earlier about olive oil. Olive oil is available, and it's good for salads. Akshay mentioned some other oils that are also good. Mustard oil, then even oregano oil,
sesame
and we have sesame seed oil. Those are exotic. We can find them in the exotic stores in Lagos, but that's not for everyday use. But olive oil is available almost everywhere in Lagos. Okay, no, maybe not in my village anyway. So, but in my village, they probably just use palm oil most of the time. Am I missing any other thing?
No, you have covered all the points, Dr. Nkeiru, and I have more questions for you.
That's fine.
So, what is the right amount of calorie intake that one should look for on a daily basis?
We're all different. And I've tried to run away from saying this is the fixed amount that you need. It depends on our needs. What do we really need for our body to run? And we actually know what we need. All of us know. You know when you're overeating, don't you? We all know. There's a time you eat and you can't even get up from your seat. So my advice is this: to try and find out what is good for you so you're stable. You're not putting on too much weight and you're not losing too much weight. So we have a body metabolic, the body metabolic index that tells us what, based on our height and our weight, what we should be really. So that's what should guide us in terms of what we should eat. And you know, for me, for functional medicine, we tend to personalize the diet. The diet is based on, it's on an individual basis. So with a good history, and I'm able to, and looking at your genes and your environment, I can customize your diet. So it's peculiar to you, because that process enables me take away all the, sometimes we have food sensitivities or allergy or intolerance that is low grade. We don't even know we have it. We need to bring those, identify those, and get rid of the foods that don't love us and just eat the foods that love us. You know, when you eat food that loves you, you actually feel good within you. So can we, like, we need to personalize everybody's, it's an individual diet. What works for me may not work for Priyanka.
Right, right. Absolutely. Again, it comes back to listening to our body and just not, you know, listening to our tongue.
I think there are many questions
Yes.
in.
I'll just pose one to you. Can you please explain the health benefits of turmeric? And today, a lot of people are talking about turmeric and other herbal drinks which can help us boost immunity.
You know, all these herbs, anything we are eating, they have nutrients and they're beneficial. So if I say, oh, turmeric is beneficial, means it has to be included in the food, but don't go overboard with it. So there is a certain quantity that you should go. For example, now you say cough syrup is good for throat. Doesn't mean you will have cough syrup all the day. You will have just maybe 2 spoons when your throat is bad. So turmeric has a lot of anti-inflammatory and a lot of antibacterial, antiseptic properties. It is very healthy in terms of being anti-inflammatory for the body. So we should include some amount of turmeric in our diet for all the 3 meals, which is very healthy. And the Western world is now even proclaiming that there is something called curcumin in turmeric, which along with black pepper and fat is a very healthy set of nutrients. And so these things you can always take along with your food. So nothing, I would not say take a measurement of 1 gram or 5 grams. I would say just sufficient enough to give it a nice flavor and color is good in your diet, right? And then there was a question also coming in on what is there an evidence of cold water diluting the acid? So I would rather leave these questions to you, because these are some very basic logical questions. Anything, if there is fire, water will extinguish it, right? If it is, so for our digestion, we need heat and fire, and having water on it and also cold water is definitely going to damage it, right? And you can all read up. These are very things which can be read up on Google. Just Google up and you'll see that everybody's proclaiming this.
And Akshay, can you please talk about how to maintain the right pH level? Like there's a lot of talk about, you know, keeping our system more alkaline, and how does that help in boosting immunity?
So definitely alkaline food is very important. Mostly if you look at our natural food, that is more alkaline in nature. If you look at salads, if you look at the green leafy vegetables, they are mostly alkaline in nature. There will be some, you know, even lemon, so to say, it may be citric and may look acidic, but when it goes into our system, it turns alkaline. Right? It gives an alkaline thing to our body. So the more acid we create in our digestive system, which reflects into our bloodstream, it is more damaging to our body. And I think Dr. Nkeiru would be a best person to speak on that. But from maintaining the alkalinity in our system, one should have a little bit of alkaline water. And I think we spoke maybe in the last session that if you keep how to make alkaline water, you can just, you know, in the evening before going to bed, in 1 liter of water, you can put 2 slices of lemon and 4 slices of cucumber. and keep it overnight for about 8 to 12 hours and drink it in the morning, it becomes alkaline. So such water is nice to have early morning. Again, take care that you do not have alkaline water just before the meals, because what you're doing then is you're neutralizing your acids, and again the digestion will not be good. So just before meals and after meals, you should avoid alkaline water.
So I've just created a feedback form. If we can all fill this up, then we can share the recipe for alkaline water, herbal tea, and Dr. Nkeiru has many more recipes to share. So I'll just put the link to the feedback form in the chat. So if everybody can...
So we will soon be launching a service in Lagos. So we are setting up a center called the Happiness Center, where it will give you holistic lifestyle guidance, which will be a mix of natural and herbal remedies. If you have a disease, it will guide you on what kind of diet and what kind of physical exercise, including yoga and meditation, which you could follow. So this is going to soon come up. And we are going to launch a forum very soon where we will open up such kind of advisory online as well, because with these COVID times, it is becoming difficult for people to come out and have contact programs. So we are going to soon come back to you and give you these opportunities to talk more, because I see a lot of questions coming in on what kind of diet for blood sugar, for different things. So we'll definitely open up a forum to address these queries and to give this right kind of guidance. I can just see one more question before I wrap up. There's something about lactose intolerance. So yeah, this is becoming very increasingly popular these days. And perhaps this is because of the wrong lifestyle, also because of the type of milk. So, there are two types of milk. One is the A1, it has A1 protein, and the other has A2 protein. So I think the A1 protein milk is what causes lactose intolerance. So there are a lot of good food and vegan diet available. I see Lagos vegan community is growing in a big way. So they completely avoid any dairy-based, or milk-based products. So I would welcome you to join such groups, though I'm not a part of them, but I will definitely send the reference for such groups.
Thank you, Akshay. Dr. Nkeiru, I have another question for you. I think people want to know as to how we can store the food in today's time when we're shopping for weekly supplies, if you are not going to refrigerate them.
If we're not going to refrigerate them?
Yes, so like you have mentioned that it is not good to refrigerate food. So how do we store them?
No, for now, where we don't have access regularly, so we don't have a choice. I think that we can store our food, but don't keep them too long. Now things are opening up a little bit. It's best to eat. Actually, it's best to eat fresh as possible. But then, since we can't go out every day, we have to refrigerate. And there's some methods that help us store foods longer. Actually, we can put it in an oven. So like if it's, once it's cooked and we've baked it, it tends to last longer. But we just have to, we really, the modern life we live, it's either we're getting it fresh from the markets very often, or we're storing it in a fridge. Can I just I see Dr. Oseji's question about what kind of changes in one's health can one expect. Now, I just want to, because I don't think we have, it's 5:30, but let me just explain a few things. The food we have, we actually say that food is energy because it provides those calories, but food is also information, in that when we're eating food, it actually has the potential to either turn on positively our genes, so they express in a positive way, or turn it down so that they express in a negative way. So food is information as well. The right quality and quantity of food can actually help you reverse most chronic illnesses, whereas poor quality and the wrong quantity and type of food can actually create disease for the body. I think, so in rounding up, if that's where we are, I'd just like to say that we should aim to eat the rainbows, not too much, and mostly plants. Thank you.
So can I just add one thing to Dr. Nkeiru, what you said, and especially to this question, what kind of changes in one's health can one expect as one embarks on a healthier diet? So I think it is all from a layman's perspective, not from medical doctor perspective, but from a layman's perspective. When you are embarking on good lifestyle and a good diet, what you will immediately see is increased energy levels.
Oh, yeah.
If you feel high in energy, that means something is working for you. But if you still feel lethargic and dull, that means you're not on the right track. So, and these changes can start happening within a week or 10, 15 days from the time you have embarked on a new journey, because body takes time to show something, right? So I think the best test for whether you are doing the right thing is, how are your energy levels? Are you enthusiastic, positive, and feeling great, or are you feeling dull, lethargic, and without any interest? So that is something which one could look forward to. Thank you so much.
So as you have mentioned that food is one of the most important constituents to high energy, I hope you would be sharing more secrets to maintain high energy in your upcoming sessions.
Yes, definitely. I think the next session is about how to maintain some discipline in the mind, culturing of mind, because that's where it starts. Food comes, the physical aspect is the second aspect. The first aspect is what goes in here. What is our attitude, or what is our outlook towards a healthy mind? That's what we'll cover in the next session.
Okay. So nice having you, Dr. Nkeiru and Akshay. We still have some questions. Maybe we will take them up. I can leave our email address, and you can please post more questions to you can send it to our email, and I will also share some more coordinates of us and the programs that you're regularly conducting. So this will help us stay in touch. And if you can share, fill up the feedback form, we will get your contact details. We can send you a recording of this session. We can send you more recipes, and we can stay in touch, and we can build a good network of happy, healthy, and positive people. I hope you all enjoyed the session. And
so Priyanka, just one last, because I see a repeat question from Godwin in terms of what advice will you give for diet to someone who is lactose intolerant? And I would say go on a vegan diet. You can research a little bit on this. It's very important for people who are lactose intolerant. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great time. Have a great weekend, and look forward to having you all again on the next session. I'm sharing a screen regarding the information which will help us all stay in touch. And we would like you to join these sessions. So we are having meditations and yoga online, which you can join, sitting at home. Then we are having counseling, and also we will next week start our flagship program, which is called the Happiness Program, where we will learn breathing techniques and meditation, which will help you just release stress, flush out stress, and there will be complete guidance on how we can keep ourselves motivated and energetic during these COVID-19 stressful times. And we would love to have your comments. So I look forward to the feedback form, which I have already sent the link. So you can, and there is a helpline number. You can just call on that number. You can pass it on to your friends if anybody's feeling anxiety, feeling depressed, not having much hope. They can just call up this number and we are there to help. So have a great weekend. I hope we all had a great, valuable time we have spent together. And we look forward to having you for our next follow-up session, which will be basically insights into the mind.